Everybody? Welcome to the CheezeTalk podcast. I'm your host, Brian Rego. Today I am joined with, can I call you Todd?
Yeah, absolutely.
With Todd. Today we'll be talking about the Green Bay Packers. Before I get to my guest, I just want to give a shout out to the Open Network for giving me the opportunity to do the podcast under their umbrella. Really appreciate it. They are 68 followers away on Twitter from getting to their goal of 523. And once they hit 523, they'll be giving away an 8x10 autographed Jair Alexander picture. Todd, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Grew up in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Lived there until I was 18 years old. Spent 2 years attempting college for the first time in Minnesota at a small school in New Ulm. Joined the military after I was unsuccessful in my study habits initially. Joined the military, joined the Army, served there until 1992. And then I got out of the military after they were downsizing for the Gulf War. Rejoined the Georgia Army National Guard in 2006 at the age of 39. Didn't really, for that time in between, was really just kind of like working in food and beverage, did a lot of managing of restaurants and bars. And then I've been recruiting at Georgia Southern University since my last deployment. So I've been doing that for 15 years. And I just recently, last month, retired from the military full time. And now I'll be moving back to Wisconsin.
Well, thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Yeah. It was a good ride.
Where are you moving back to? What part?
West
Fond du Lac?
Not to Fond du Lac. My mom currently is 83 years old, and she lives in a small town north of Madison called Westfield. It's about halfway between Stevens Point and Madison.
Sure.
So I'll be moving back there to be close to her.
Perfect. Well, got you on here for Packers talk.
Yes.
First question, what are your thoughts on the draft this year?
Very Green Bay, like everybody says. We had needs as a team, and Brandon Gutekunst just goes out and gets not one, not two, but three guys to cover down on the needs that the Packers have, right? So he used a lot of the draft resources that they had to address the needs that the team had. And overall, I'm, super excited about the young guys coming in and the young guys they already have. And I think that they're going to be some of the players that are going to be able to contribute right away.
Sure. Who is your favorite pick?
I think my favorite pick is Edgerrin Cooper. Just such a need right there. I think him and Quay being together and having those two hopefully on the field at the same time, being able to go sideline to sideline and, kind of just play free. I think there was a lot of thinking that was going on with the previous coordinator's defense, and Quay wasn't really able to be Quay Walker. Living in Georgia, I saw him play in college quite a bit, and last season didn't resemble what he was when he was in college.
Right. I'm excited for Cooper and for Bullard. I think Bullard's going to bring that he's going to add the swagger level to our secondary, which I think we need. And then it'll be exciting to see what Eric Stokes can do if he comes back healthy. That's going to really put a stamp on our defense, I think.
All Georgia guys.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how we're drafting all these Georgia guys and they got the same logo on the helmet as the Packers.
Yeah. I'm not here's the thing though. I worked at Georgia Southern University, and I follow all of Georgia Southern University's teams, and there is severe dislike between Georgia Southern and the University of Georgia. We are kind of their little brother, and so I'm not a big fan of red, but now that they're on the Packers, I cheer for them all the time.
you're not a fan of the red, but when it's the same logo and it's green and gold, you'll cheer for him, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on the addition of Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs?
Bittersweet on Jacobs, right? Because we no longer have Aaron Jones. I think Xavier McKinney is going to prove to be possibly Charles Woodson-esque, like a Charles Woodson kind of signing for making the entire defense better. I think just what he said after OTAs about the skill level of the quality of the DB room is really good. And I like how he, according to everybody out there, is like trying to coach up on the field and then right after practice, coach up some of the younger players and get them to all be on the same page, all be seeing the same stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how like he was a captain, leader coming from the Giants, and you think of every level on defense. You had Kenny Clark on the line. You could say Preston Smith or even Quay Walker, Rashawn Gary as linebackers. You got Jair at the cornerback position. Then you have Xavier. So every layer of defense, we have a proven leader. So I think that's going to be huge for us too. And it sucked when we got. Well, it was cool. Like I was thinking when we signed Josh Jacobs for that hour, we had both him and Aaron Jones on the team. I'm like, that's going to be one of the best combinations in the league. Then boom, like then he got released. It's like, well, maybe. I mean, it happened for a reason, I 3 years age difference. I just you got to believe in Goot and what he's doing. So I can't be too upset about it. He's got to move on. So, do you think switching to the 4-3 defense will fix our run D from last year? And you think that's what we drafted those safeties for and the linebackers is to try to stop the run?
All of the safeties seem, by all accounts, to want to hit, right? Which is the want to doing that, I think, is more important sometimes than the technique of doing it. You just got to want to get your body in there and get the dirt and take the hit, take the lick, put the lick on somebody.
Right.
So all of the safeties seem to want to hit. Cooper seems to want to hit. The other linebacker from Missouri seems to hit. Everybody seems to like have this mentality of attacking the football, and that's what Hafley's been saying is attack, attack, attack. I think that the defensive linemen that they have from last year will finally be able to give Kenny Clark a little bit of one-on-ones maybe, instead of always taking a double or a triple team at times
Right.
on every play. Like, I don't know how he's done what he's done over the past, and he's still great. I mean, he's still great, but with the defensive lineman they got from last year, and now having the 4-3, so you got LVN that can have his hand in the dirt. I think that there's a lot of good that can happen, and it's better than doing the same thing over and over again. Right? That's what we've been doing forever. We haven't had a good run defense seemingly since Gilbert Brown. So we got to try something.
Yeah, I was actually watching some video. Well, it's not like a full. There's like a short clip of Engabar, I can't pronounce his last name. Number 55, the guy hurt last year. We were all fearing that he tore his ACL, but he was practicing without a brace or anything on. So I don't think he tore anything. I just think he had like a real freak injury to his knee. But yeah, you get nice defensive rotation on the line and keep that pressure on the quarterback, and they're going to make mistakes, and our defense is going to succeed from it, I think, especially when you have ball hawks like Alexander and McKinney. He already has, I think, 9 interceptions or 6. He's only 24 years old. I mean, I don't even think he's hit his prime yet, No. I think he's going to be great for the Packers. If you were to pick a quarterback They both have been great for the Packers. I get it. Favre or Rodgers?
Favre was more fun to watch.
Yeah, took more chances.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, my first memories of Packer football is early 70s. So suffered through not really the memory of the Jerry Taggy fiasco, but just remember the feeling of my grandfather, dad, just the ineptitude at the quarterback position, and then all the trades that came for John Hadel, and then the trade for Lynn Dickey, and all. Like, I just feel like the Packers didn't have a plan as an organization after Bart Starr for what they were going to do as quarterback. And I think that once they got Favre and they realized that they had generational talent at quarterback, they just said never again. We're always going to have a plan in place, because they suffered through 15 years of my childhood not having a quarterback.
Right.
And Dickey was good. I mean, there was upside to all of that, but none of them were going to be your franchise quarterback.
Right. I remember my earliest memories of the Packers. I think of like the transition from Mikowski to Favre, and that's kind of, I was 9, 10 years old back then, so it's trying to remember 30 plus years ago. It's kind of tough. But that's what I remember. And just watching him, he always had so much fun. He's out there running around like a little kid. I can always remember him in the Super Bowl running, and this to look on his expression. He made it look fun.
And that was part of what got Reggie White to Green Bay. I mean, just the game against Philadelphia where Favre took the hits and still got up and talked his smack, and and Reggie's like, I want to play with this guy, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the sort of just moxie and kind of like swagger that he had, and he brought to the Packers, and we hadn't had that my entire life, so I was really, really excited about Favre. Not that Rodgers wasn't great and fun to watch and all of those things, but it was like the difference. Like, I don't know who the comedian is that says this, but like when you're starving and you've been wandering through the desert for 40 years, right? Somebody gives you a saltine cracker and you're grateful, but then you get the Ritz. Like, it was finally we got a Ritz cracker, right? And it was like, holy mackerel, like, this is awesome, having a quarterback that people talk about, and having a quarterback that like got us some recognition on the national stage, which him and Reggie doing that was just, amazing.
Yeah, and you go back and you think of the additions of like Reggie White led to a title, then the addition of Charles Woodson eventually led to a title. Hoping the addition of McKinney and Jacobs will lead to a title too. It's kind of like a pattern. Yeah. Hopefully that will put a stamp on good. This year. That would be a pretty quick rebuild, if you ask me.
Absolutely, they did it in one season.
Yeah, in less than a season. I mean, it leads me to my question. Another question: what do you think was the turning point last year for the Packers, when they all of a sudden they all clicked on one page? And I mean, Love was playing out of his mind.
I think the turning point was when the play calling of the offense was finally unafraid to let Jordan Love be Jordan Love, right? So, you went through those first couple games, and it seemed like there was not training wheels, but there was some hesitancy in some of the play calling, and then they just kept doing their thing. They just kept going to work. They just kept working on the small things and working on their communication on offense, so that, the play call wasn't just the play call in the huddle. It might have been more, Jordan Love saying to a receiver, hey, if he does this, bend this way, because that's where I'm going to be looking, just more being able to have Jordan Love play and not necessarily worry about what the play call was. Right.
Yeah, I think there were. I mean, they're a young team and they don't realize their potential, or they didn't at least last year. I mean, the ceiling's still high in all of them, and I think that was one of the shining points was how our offense just never gave up. You know, they kept on like they're playing for Jordan Love. You know, they're playing for themselves too. They're all in their rookie contracts. They're just a bunch of young pups out there. You know, and I don't think they realize their potential. And I think after reflecting on last year, I think they realize it more and more going into this next season how good they can actually be, and that's how they're so confident in all but like 2 participated in OTAs this week so far. I mean, that's pretty remarkable considering that we have had history of quarterbacks not showing up to OTAs and kind of separating himself from everybody else, thinking he's too good to come. Like he can just step into training camp and be the same person he was the previous year, which you know how that went.
Yeah,
but
well, one of the things too with just the culture, it seems like the culture of Matt LaFleur without Rodgers has more buy-in, right?
yep.
It seemed like no matter, I mean, I'm not saying I don't know anything, right? But it just doesn't seem like there's Team LaFleur and Team Rodgers anymore. It's just one team, right? And
Yep.
I know just from being in the military, right? Like, you've got your dudes, you've got your guys, the guys in my squad are my dudes. And, it doesn't matter who the platoon leader is. It doesn't matter who the platoon sergeant is, but my guys in my squad, those are my guys. And, if we all decide that we're smarter than the platoon sergeant, right, that might not bode well for the execution of whatever the plan is, right? So it seems like that could be something that would be maybe similar in a football setting.
Right. And I've been saying for a while that I think it was the last few years of Rodgers, he was kind of having people, they probably wouldn't come out and say it, but walking on eggshells, but do this way or else you're not going to get the ball, or you're going to call whatever play you want to call, but I'm going to audible out of it in the huddle or on the, when I line up, I mean, he was smart at calling things out as he saw it, but I still think he was going against some of the play calling in the huddle,
I heard someone, and I forget who it was, but it was when LaFleur first got hired as the head coach. And somebody made a comment about the way that he calls offense being like chestnut checkers, right? So we're going to run this play on this down to see how you react. And then we're going to run a play 3 plays later that's going to mimic that, but burn you. Right. And so if you're always audibling out of the setup play, then that play 3 plays later doesn't work because you audibled out of it. Now what do I call? So I think that the offense that we're seeing currently from Matt LaFleur is more what he wished he could have run previously. But I mean,
the whole time.
Yeah, 3 years of 13-3, though, it's kind of hard to like crap on the job that Rodgers did with 2 MVPs in there, right? So it's like, yeah, but I don't know. This seems best suited for what the team has going on now.
Yeah, he's finally able to run, like you said, the offense that he was brought in to run. I think that's huge because that's why they brought him in. It's something different from the norm that we're used to seeing, and I wish Rodgers the best, but those last few years he just kind of rubbed us the wrong way. It's just something just didn't seem right, and I'll leave it at that. What is your expectation for the defense this year? Do you think they're going to be better than last year? Based on what they drafted and the switch in the scheme and the new defensive coordinator?
Absolutely. I would. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do if they weren't, right? Like, I mean, it just seems like they've made the commitment now to a change, right? And hopefully that change will bring success, right? But if this doesn't work, I don't know what to change to. I don't know what another option would be, because it seems like the exact opposite of what they were running previously. And so, or it seems like they're going to try to have it be the opposite of what they were running previously. And that's what fans have been asking for, is like, let's be more aggressive. Let's be more attacking. And if this doesn't work, if they're not better, I mean, how many number one picks do we have on that side of the ball?
Right. A lot.
A lot. There's a lot of draft capital there,
Yeah, I mean, you got the youth, you have the athleticism, you have the type of players that are for this type of defense, and the quicker you can get to the quarterback, the less time the receivers have to run around and get open.
Yeah.
That's huge, and I think our defense is we're gonna be super happy with what we see out of our defense this year. I think it was the right move, finally getting rid of Joe Barry. I think it's about 2 years too late, but I mean, what do you do? Who do you have an all-time favorite Packer?
My favorite Packer was Willie Buchanan, defensive back, early 70s, on some really bad teams. Then he got traded. But he had some great seasons. He had a season, I think, where he had 5 or 6 interceptions, and in a 14 game schedule, so
that's pretty good.
Yeah. And he to me was just awesome. I love the way that he covered. But then again, he got traded. I loved Eddie Lee Ivory until he blew out his knee in Chicago twice. And Favre, of course. I mean, Favre was I was all on that train. I love that guy. So yeah.
My favorite would have to be Charles Woodson. I'm sure you could tell from my post and everything on Twitter and some of my episodes that he's, ever since his days at Michigan, that is just the way he played the game is just crazy. Some of the plays he had and just the leadership that he brought to the field, and he's won a national championship at Michigan. He's won, a Super Bowl with the Packers. So I just like the way he plays. He was always a fun guy to watch.
He was great.
I think they got word of him a couple years too early, though. They could have put him at safety or something, instead of just getting rid of him. But who do you think wins the NFC North this year?
Packers.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think the record's going to be?
11-5 or 12-4.
Okay.
11-6. Excuse me, or 12-5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you want to go over the schedule and do one loss?
Sure. Let's do that. Okay.
First game against the Eagles.
Win. It's a home game. I think I'm taking that as a home game.
Yeah. Colts.
Win.
Titans.
I'm gonna go loss.
Loss?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing that loss just because I think that the Titans are going to be better, a lot better than people think, just based upon the fact that all the coaching changes and all the things that they're doing there. I think they still have the attitude that they can smash people in the mouth.
Sure.
So I'm gonna go loss there.
Okay, Vikings.
Win.
That's huge. Justin Jefferson hasn't been at any of the practices, so I've been saying for a while, I think he's going to end up in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, his college quarterback.
Yeah.
I really think he's going to. Rams.
Loss.
Cardinals.
Win.
Texans.
It's going to be tough, but I'm going to say win.
It's going to be a tough game, but it's a home game as well. So hopefully that's what we need to get over and get that W in that win column. At Jacksonville.
Win.
Detroit.
Oh. I think they do the same thing that they did last year. I think they're going to lose at home and then beat them in Detroit. So I'm going to say loss.
Okay. At Chicago. Win. Oh boy. At home against San Francisco.
I'm going to say win there.
Okay.
Get that demon.
Hey, all you got to do is run the ball at Devondre Campbell, right?
Yeah, there we go. Maybe they'll put him in coverage.
Against Watson?
Yeah, there we go.
And having him healthy too is going to be huge.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome. I'm super excited. Okay, the Dolphins.
I'm going to say loss there.
At Detroit, you have a win.
Yep.
At Seattle.
I'm going to say win.
New Orleans.
Win.
At Minnesota.
Loss.
And at home against the Bears is a win. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 12-5 right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Split with Detroit, split with Minnesota, and win both the Bears games. But I don't think I think Detroit has young players, but I think that their ceiling has kind of already maxed out. And so I think that they're going to suffer an extra loss somewhere in there.
Yeah. Let's hope the Lions get a bunch of losses. That'd be awesome. Your most memorable game that you've watched?
The most memorable game that I've watched. It'd have to be the this Super Bowl.
Okay.
That Desmond Howard returning kicks, like that was pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
And at a time when like I didn't think I'd ever see it in my lifetime. I honestly didn't.
Right. And we've got to see too, so it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was probably the most memorable. That New Orleans Super Bowl was great.
Yes, it was. I was 14 years old watching that game. I remember I was at a friend's house and we were trying to make like a Mountain Dew, a big pyramid out of Mountain Dew soda cans. There's like 8 of us there. We're just down a Mountain Dew. Let me see here. Who was the biggest draft bust in your lifetime that you've seen the Packers draft?
Tony Mandrich.
Okay, that's same here. Big. I mean, just reading some of the stories about him, how he used to keep the needles in his jock strap, and there's just
and it wouldn't like I wouldn't necessarily have that ill will toward him, but the hype surrounding him, like he's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. He had all this hype about how he was going to be, the next version of the best offensive lineman the NFL has ever seen. Like that was really, I bought in, you know what I mean? Like I bought in and then I was disappointed. So that's why I'm saying he's the worst.
Yeah. I was kind of too young. That was in 1990 he got drafted. Mm-hmm. So I was like 8 years old, 7 years old. So I can think back to like Ahmad Carroll, Jamal Reynolds, Justin Harrell. I mean, those guys. Yeah. But then you think about who the Packers could have drafted instead of managers, and it makes you even more upset that they drafted them. Because 4 out of the 5 guys in the top 5 made the Hall of Fame, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's crazy. What is your favorite part about what's your favorite part about Lambeau Field?
The way that you get to go there, even on non-game days, right? Like
Yep.
the draw that is Lambeau Field. I mean, it's phenomenal. You don't have to be I mean, everybody likes going to the games. Everybody wants to go to the games, right? And everybody wants to be a season ticket holder or whatever, right? But as a fan, you can go and experience Lambeau Field and during the off season and still get a very good experience. I
Right.
mean, then when you're watching it on TV, you're like, oh yeah, that's where we walked down on the field when we were on our tour. And I mean, I fully plan on this season. I mean, I've got a little camper. I'm gonna go and park at the RV parking lot on game days and on the Saturday beforehand and be there just to tailgate and hang out with people,
Yeah.
and just be a part of the atmosphere of what goes on at Lambeau Field. Just I don't need a game ticket. Heck, I can sit in my camper if it's cold and watch the game. But
Right.
yeah, just to be a part of the game environment and be with the fans, because I think that's pretty amazing that you get to go to Lambeau Field and go to the Packer Hall of Fame and go to the pro shop and go to the restaurants and get a tour and all those things that go with that. And it's phenomenal.
Go across the street and get a Kroll's burger and some chili.
Yep. Yep.
When's the last time you were at Lambeau Field?
Gosh. So 2002.
Okay. Yeah, it's changed big time.
Yeah.
It's like 2 stories.
Yeah.
And they have a part like from the second story going down, there's like a wall to your left, a wall in the front, and a wall on the right. And from left to right, they have all the different jerseys from throughout the years, the different combinations and everything. And it's super cool. They moved it and everything, and they moved the pro shop, and
Yeah,
it's
I'm planning on going up there in the end of July and just checking out the RV space area, and then hopefully going up for the home game of preseason, and then kind of like just feeling it out, making sure it all works with my camper and everything like that, because they don't have hookups, so I got to make sure I get my generator and everything's working. But yeah, I plan on going up there for training camp and seeing it a couple times and going about.
Yeah, you should let me know when you're up here. I'm like 10 minutes from Lambeau Field.
Oh,
So
that's
if you're
awesome.
up here, I can meet you at the pro shop. I can meet you, I mean, anywhere in Green Bay.
That'd be fun.
Yeah,
That'd
for
be fun.
sure.
I gotta get some new Packer gear.
Yeah. I know a very expensive place you can go to. When you think of Green Bay, what comes to mind? I mean, it's a small village, a small city, and it, in my eyes, has one of the best followings in professional sports as far as the Packers. And like, what do you think of when you think of when you hear Green Bay?
Loyalty. I think that like the fans are loyal to the team. The team is more, I think, than any other organization caring about what their fans think. They don't necessarily make decisions based upon what their fans think. But as far as like trying to keep things accessible to an average fan, I mean, it's kind of like Bay Beach, right? Like Bay Beach, you go there and is an amusement park, yeah, but it's the nostalgia of the amusement park and being able to go and pay a quarter or whatever it is to get on a ride. Like that's what the Packers are.
Yeah, and they do a lot in the community too. A lot.
Yeah.
They donate a lot of money and the player services. They go around like putting in like playgrounds and stuff like that, building houses. And I mean, I'm sure other teams do it, but I mean, obviously I don't see the coverage of that, but it's just cool seen it from like, I'm right in Green Bay, so you always see in the news, no, today, you know, so and so from the Packers stopped by at the hospital, or they stopped at a local school to do this, or, you know, you got Alex Green out there talking about, you know, he's, you know, his addiction problem, and he's in recovery now, and he's going around, he wrote a book, and he's reading books to the kids at schools, and it's just cool to see them, you know, giving back to those that can give to them, which is, I think, is awesome.
And it's because it's such a smaller community, it has a bigger impact, right? Because it's not New York City. You know, you've got 100,000 people that live there or so, and you know, the Packers can actually affect the things that are going on in the community.
Yeah, that's very cool. I never do a podcast without asking my guests, what's your favorite type of cheese?
My favorite type of cheese would be cheese curds, the cheddar.
Okay.
I like them both cold and fried. I have to find a spot. I don't have a spot anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna have to find a local spot to get those. And I'm looking forward to Friday fish fries too.
Yeah.
So
well, when you come up here, there's a Scray Cheese in De Pere, is where I get. So I'm always posting my cheese curd pictures and my cheese. There's some Scray Cheese. They do ship anywhere. ScrayCheese.com. It's just outside of Green Bay and De Pere. So when you come up here, you'll have to stop there and get some cheese curds.
I will. Got the recommendation. The only thing that I've really been able to, that's Wisconsin, that I've been able to kind of still have, not on a regular yearly basis or anything like that, but every couple of years I will order some Hughes's candy from Oshkosh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that milk chocolate is just fantastic.
Yeah, Hughes and Saruji's in De Pere.
Oh, I've never had that.
Saruji's, and then another thing in Green Bay and De Pere is Uncle Mike's Kringle.
Oh,
their Kringle is amazing. It's it's. I mean, people always said Racine Kringle, but this body slam is Racine Kringle. It's
really,
yeah. It's
okay. I'm in on that too. We're gonna meet up and we're gonna do a food tour. Is what?
Yeah, I'll give you a tour of of Brown County and all the hot spots.
There we go. Get the Kringle, check. Get the cheese curds, check. Got that.
Yeah. Oh man, stop it. Who do you think will have a breakout year this year for the Packers? Last year, I think it was kind of Dontavian Wicks. I think had a breakout year. I think he proved to be better than what we drafted him at. He proved to be a good reliability.
Right. I think the breakout year is going to come from somebody on the D line. Colby Wooden, possibly. I've heard he's in OTAs. He's put on a lot of functional weight, and I think that it's going to be such a if the Packers can stop the run, right?
Yep.
And if one of these year two guys is able to make the jump, I don't think people will be able to stop talking about it, right? Because we haven't seen it for so long as fans, a stout run defense where, the Packers keep some team under 80 yards rushing like 3 weeks in a row or something like that. Like if something like that happened for the defense, like it would be like nonstop talked about.
Yeah. And I want to see Devontae Wyatt have a huge year.
That would be huge.
He came on off and on, but he had a couple of injuries last year. But I mean, drafting him and Quay Walker out of Georgia in the same round is huge.
Yeah.
Like you said, Quay has that side to side mentality where he's quick, and then Cooper as well. I mean, I just think our defense is just going to be so good next year. Like I said, I can't wait for the season to start and see what we got. I mean, it looks good on paper, but I want to see it produce in real life.
Yeah, and the thing about the thing about the D line is that I think that they have enough depth now to keep those guys fresh, which is something that they haven't always had, or injuries have kept them from being able to have that kind of rotation.
Right. And if you get, you get 3 and outs, and your defense is getting rest. And then if you get to 3 and out, then your offense gets the ball and they go down the field methodically. You can give your defense enough rest to come back and get another 3 and out, So that's going to be huge. Obviously, you think Jordan Love is the long-term answer?
Absolutely.
Okay. That was a one-word answer. With the new kickoff rule, do you think Keyshawn Nixon returns any for a touchdown?
I'm going to go an over-under. I'm going to say he's going to be over 3.
Over 3?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's going to help out, and I think I'm glad that we signed him when we did. I mean, he's a proven leader, and you can even throw him in on defense as well. So, and he has the speed to cover. So,
yeah.
Who do you think is the Packers' biggest rival?
49ers.
49ers?
Yeah. I mean, because that's when it matters, right? I mean, I don't have enough hatred in my heart for Detroit.
The Bears can't be Chicago because we won 10 straight. Yeah. What kind of rival is that?
Yeah, that's not a rivalry, right?
Yeah.
It is for them, right? I mean, it is for them, and we just have to be aware of the Packers just have to be aware of how much that game matters to the Bears, right? It doesn't have to matter that much to us. The Packers just have to want to beat them to continue to keep them in their, hellscape of fandom and everything like that, like the team. But yeah, the 49ers to me, when it matters, is the team that I just dislike them in much the same way that those couple of years when Seattle seemed to have our number, I hated them. Dallas, hated them when they had our number for the playoffs.
Yep.
But I mean, Minnesota wishes it was a rival. Chicago wishes it was a rival. Minnesota, all they can do is sign our old players. So they just wish they were great.
I have to agree with you. When it matters most, the last few years when we got knocked out of the playoffs, it was San Francisco. And then you go back to even with Kaepernick running all over our defense.
God. That was a horrible game. That was a horrible game.
Which one?
Yeah.
Oh man, let me see here. Favorite coach in team history?
I like LaFleur. I think LaFleur's as far as seeming to know how to coach the players that we have on the team now. I like him. I think that Holmgren was great. McCarthy was great. Ray Rhodes was not. Okay. But I think that it takes a very, a person that can relate to the young team that the Packers have and also hold them accountable. I think that's a really fine line where you allow the players to be themselves like Ja, and but at the same time you've got to suspend him for a game when he's Ja doing making himself captain down here in North Carolina just because he's from the area. So yeah, I mean, it takes a special kind, and I don't think that necessarily everybody in the league has that. I think just look at the problems that Kansas City's going through right now. Andy Reid had that for a while. Is he losing it? I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything, but from the outside looking in, there's a lot of off-field issues there. And is that because they've had so much success? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, and they've had the success, and you think that they're untouchable. Certain players, the young ones.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see that Rashid Rice is actually participating in OTAs. I'm surprised the team would even let him around. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially after Andy Reid's kid killed that in the drunk driving.
Yeah.
But I don't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like LaFleur. I think a lot of the players, we're a younger team, and LaFleur is a younger coach, and I think, like you said, they relate to each other. He knows how to control them, and I think he's getting the right staff around to coach them the way that they should be coached. And I like him. Obviously, like you said, I like Lombardi. Obviously, that was way before my time, but what he did for the Packers organization was huge. Holmgren. So yeah, McCarthy. He got. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, after Lombardi, you had Dan Devine, Bart Starr, Lindy Infante. Bart Starr had guys eating hot dogs on the sidelines during the game, right? There was things that were going on there with the coach, and then we had that whole coach GM thing where they were coach and GM, and they were making horrible decisions there. Trading Ted Hendricks, for God's sakes, like after you got him from Baltimore for an 8th round draft pick or something like that, just insane stuff that was being done just in the name of a coaching change, or I'm in charge now, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So,
yeah. The floor is actually, so I coach youth basketball for my sons, and one year I was fortunate enough to able to meet him because I coached his youngest kid in basketball, LaFleur's, and he's just a super down to earth guy. He'll talk to anybody. He'll take pictures with teams. He'll take pictures with fans. You're sitting there coaching, and you look over and there's people coming up to him taking selfies with him. It's just super approachable guy, super nice family. So yeah, I'd have to go with LaFleur as well. Are you happy we got a new strength and conditioning staff?
I'm not going to say the H word on this podcast because I don't want the H word to creep into any thoughts that the Green Bay Packers have going forward for this year. None of those injuries.
Yeah, I think it's a good staff that came over from the Niners. Most of them did. And I actually think one of the guys is a cousin to LaFleur's wife. To be honest, I forgot which guy it was, but do you think Eric Stokes makes an impact this year?
Yes, I think he'll be back.
Yeah, I've been saying that he could get burned, but he has the speed to make up for it. At least he had the speed before his injury. And
I think with Xavier McKinney being there, right? I think if you got a 95% of rookie Eric Stokes, that you could be pretty confident that the defense was going to be solid, So I think he's going to contribute. I think having Javon Bullard being able to play some nickel is another help. So yeah, I expect, and Valentine, last year exceeded any kind of expectation. I didn't even know who those guys were, at the beginning of the season, and they both shined when the spotlight was on them. So right. I really like the defensive back room.
Yeah, and if you got Jair covering if they don't throw Jair's way, just the more reps that Stokes gets too, his confidence is going to go up as well. So that's going to be huge, I think, for us. All right, last question. Do you think we'll have a top 5 defense / offense?
I think the offense will be top 5. I think it'll be 3 or 4. I think Miami, I haven't really looked at their schedule. Miami could have a better offense than the Packers if they're consistent. I think San Francisco could have an offense better than the Packers. So being 3rd or 4th in the league, I think the defense has the ability to be top 10, maybe not top 5, but top 10.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, the defense on paper, I mean, like I've been saying the whole podcast, I'm super excited to watch them. Super excited.
Yeah. If the defense is top 10, I mean, you may only lose a game to Detroit and maybe another game. Like, I mean, I'm just thinking about the quarterback play that they have. I mean, if the defense is top 5, we could beat the Titans. I mean, maybe lose to the Rams, with Stafford, but I mean, really, there's not too many quarterbacks that are on that, on the schedule that I think if the Packers are playing number 7 defense in the league, I think that, they could maybe have 2 losses for the season.
Yeah, and with that being said, too, like your defense, this is the type of defense that you want to have and get home field advantage for. Because I think this defense is, if we get home field advantage, is just going to play even better at home in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I mean, I just think that for a while, home field advantage in Green Bay was huge. But in the last few years, it hasn't meant anything. But I think with this team we have put together now, it's even more of a big deal for us to get a home field advantage. So,
yeah, the young guys would feed off that energy, I think. And I think that would really make a big difference.
For sure.
Especially given the fact that, so many other teams, like say Dallas, I mean, would they really want to come to Green Bay and play in January? No.
Yeah, right. I mean, throw a little diss at Dallas here. We have more wins in Dallas in Jerry World than they have in the playoffs. So I mean, but yeah, I don't think they don't want to come to Green Bay.
Our 3rd string quarterback has more wins in Jerry's World than the Bears quarterback. So
yeah. Well, listen, Todd, I want to say thank you for joining me today. I had a blast. Well, definitely, when we get closer to the preseason, I'll have to get you back on, see if there's any storylines floating across there, and get you back on. We'll discuss that. Do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, I'll reach out to you too, because we got to go on that food tour.
Yes, definitely. And it's the end of July?
Yeah, I'm thinking about coming up for like a training camp around like 28th, 29th, somewhere in there of July, and doing, watching practice, and then checking out the RV parking lot over there. They said it's like 12 acres. It's supposed to be huge.
Yeah, and you got to go through the Hall of Fame.
Definitely.
I mean, the last time you went there was 22 years ago. There's a lot that has changed, a lot. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely have to meet up when you come up here, and hopefully have you back on before then.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Brian.
Right. Yep. Thank you. Have a good day.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.